Oh, these boots are stuffed. Actually, that reminds me. It may not be obvious, but occasionally I do go to the gym. I was there the other night and I noticed a hole in my trainer, just big enough to put my finger in. Anyway, she's made a formal complaint and now I'm barred for life. G'day everybody and welcome back. Let's throw these things together. All right, so thanks everybody for all your suggestions and going back to the owner's manuals and coming out with all the measurements. I did that, but these are definitely still an unknown factor. We'll put the left one aside for now. We'll stick with the problem child. And I'll talk you through what I'm doing. So this rod is a mystery. Brad Black, Brad the Bike Boy, thank you very much. For every time you've ever commented on one of my videos, it's just been invaluable information. And for the times that I've rung you and you've taken the time to talk me through problems or discuss issues or whatever, you're a star, mate, and it's blokes like you that keep these bikes alive and running well long after the dealerships have given up. So that being said, Brad chimed in and basically said to me that this rod is a mystery. These forks, the internals of these forks, are something that he has never seen on a Ducati, and I tend to believe Brad because he's seen more Ducatis than I've had hot dinners. That being said, what I'm going to do, I've decided, is basically go for the oil height air gap of 109 millimeters. That should get me somewhere in the ballpark. If it's too much, I can always draw some more out, and if it's not enough, I can always add some more. But I won't really know until I get it on the bike. The other smart thing to do would be to have measured the fluid volume that was in the forks before being stripped, which I did. I measured the height and it came out just a bit over 110 millimeters, about 112 I think, and it was 270 something milliliters. So I think we're in that ballpark. My plan is to chuck in probably half a litre. Ultimately chuck in about half a litre and then draw out what's not required. But before we can do any of that, we've got to put them back together. So let's get on with that. All right, so first thing I want to do is assemble the seals and knock the seals into the tube and put the bushes on as well. So we'll go ahead and do that first. All right, I have new seals. That's our wiper seal, our pressure seal. It's got a bit of rubber grease. It's not red rubber grease, but it is rubber grease. Just applying it in between the lips there. Oh, that's right, I've got to put place some tape over this so I can protect it. Right. So the idea here is to protect the seal as it's being pushed over that groove. I think it's picked up on the tape. Did a bit there. All right. So, wipe a seal. Then we're going to need the seal retainer. Then we're going to need the pressure seal. Again, I'll put some grease on it. That tape's a bit of a failure. Better. We have our seat. Just opening up the fork oil, so I've got a little for some lubrication. Right, fork oil for lube. You can go on there. Bit of fork oil for lube. Now we have to hammer that in. And what I'm hoping is it's not going to be too tight to get in there, because I don't have a fork vise. I've got no way of holding this tube. Right, so my friend Peter is pretty handy on a lathe, and he made this up for his monster. And was kind enough to lend it to me. Because I don't have a bloody lathe. That worked. Yes, and the seal's down below the groove. Right, he's in the groove. Lovely. Beautiful. All right, so I've clamped the fork in the vise from my drill press. I've got half a litre of fork oil here. I'm just going to pour about half of that in there. And work this damper. You can buy attachments to screw onto the thread, but I've just got a bit of hose. Work it in. Nice. Make sure it's properly filled. I can't hear it gurgling. Right, I like. So now I'm just going to pour in most of the remainder. Let's put it all in, eh? And we'll set our depth for 109 millimetres. And hopefully we'll have enough in there because I've only got 1 litre. All right, that's 109 millimetres. Nothing. We haven't got enough. We'll have to put some more in. See where we're at. Right. So I took an extra couple of mils over half a litre. Okay. Okay. I had this extra bit of tube that went in the top. Okay, it's loose. Right, just nip those up. Just want to make sure it doesn't leak, and then I'll torque them up when I get home and put them on the bike. Right. We are applying preload. All the way home. Lovely. And back it all the way off. Back, make sure this is backed all the way off, which it is. The dampening. And then we'll go, when we go home, put it on the bike, we'll find out how much of a pogo stick it is. Alright, so that's one done. I'm going to do the other one off camera, and then we'll go and put them in the bike. Alright, let's put these things back in. .20 Newton meters, by the way. These top yokes are meant to be 23 Newton meters, but I'm not that comfortable with that, if I'm honest. So I'm going to do these to 20 Newton meters. The book says 23, but I'm not that comfortable with 23. There was a bloke that left a comment suggesting that the manual was wrong and that he had cracked the top yoke on his, and I think the 20 Newton meters is a good. So that's what I'm doing. Doesn't mean I'm right. What is important though is that they're even heights. I think the manual actually states that they need to be within 0.5 millimetre of each other. 0.5 millimetre. There is a set distance from the bottom yoke to the top of that flange. I haven't measured that. It's going by eyeballs. Now, as for the handlebar bolts, I actually left my M5 in-hex socket at work, so I'm just doing them up by hand. Where are you off to, sweetheart?
For what?
Aye.
I don't know how to talk.
Oh,
Hello, ugly.
well, it's on camera.
That's why we're not there.
Have fun.
Oh, we will be with your mother.
Yeah.
What are you laughing at?
Your mother's wonderful. And because this is YouTube and the internet and it is filled with experts, and you get persecuted for not doing things to the correct torque, they're 10 Newton meters. Just for reference. smearing a bit of grease into the centre hub and onto the axle and the thread. Alright, this is where, if it had the adjustable compression damping on the bottom of the fork, this would be important, but it's not really important at this stage because we don't have that. But we need to line this. There's a hole that runs right through the middle, and we should be lining that up. There is a special tool that fits into the end of the axle with a couple of pins on it that locate in the bottom of the fork, and that aligns everything, but I don't have that, so I'm just going to find an Allen key that fits through the hole. That one will do. I'm just going to kind of line the whole thing up with that. Yeah, there's a notch in there. Now on the nut, take a bit of this grease, put it on the flange of the nut and the thread. And this one gets pulled down to 63 Newton meters. Calipers. Forty-three Newton meters. Let's just jack it up a little bit. So the front wheel's off the ground. Okay. Let's push down on the handlebars a few times. Just to seat that axle. 19 Newton meters. Alright, well that's the major components back on the bike. I just need to reattach the fairings to the front mudguard now, and I can go and take it for a test ride. I've only got one camera on, and I want to be quick because I think this video has probably gone long enough. This work that I did on these forks has transformed this bike. Absolutely transformed this bike. I actually realise now just what a bloody death trap it was. It's just the right sort of level now of plush versus control. So we're just coming back from Coles Bay, which is a pretty good ride. Each February, the last Sunday of each February, we have our Rot Memorial Ride, where we remember the Rot members of the Riders of Tasmania who have sadly passed, and that was today. So I was coming through here. It's pretty bumpy through here. I was coming through here this morning, and I was letting it eat, really. We were pushing reasonably hard, coming up through the twisties a bit further up the road here, and also through this section. And it's just yeah, it's night and day difference. There's no more of that really radical tracking that I was getting, the tramming effect. There's no clunk in the front end like there was. It doesn't feel like the front wheel wants to fold back under the bike as soon as you touch the brake. And it was that bad that I actually initially thought, holy shit, the caliper must be loose, because it feels like it was hitting the rivets of the disc. That's how bad it was. It was like bang, 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 bang. And the whole time it was because that unsprung mass was not being controlled. It was just dancing around everywhere. Now it's smooth as silk. Really predictable, and actually a pleasure to ride. I'm in love with this bike again. Right, so let's talk about setup. I'm no suspension expert. So all I did was put 2 cable ties on the stanchions. They're still there actually. And just made sure it had some sort of static preload to start with, which it did. I then got on the bike with my gear on and sort of gently stood over the bike without sitting on it, and then sat down, put all my weight on the bike without punching it. I set the rider preload so that I had somewhere around 35 to 40 millimeters sag, somewhere in that region. And then I had the valves wide open. The damper valving was all the way out, and it was a bit of a pogo stick, as you can imagine. There's no clicks on these ones. It's just, I just counted the turns. So it's 2 turns from fully out, from fully in to fully out, and I just sort of brought it in until I was comfortable with the rebound, and it's sitting roughly about halfway, about 1 turn out, near as damn it. And it's working for me, so that's where we're at. But it is, like I said, it's just completely changed the feel of the bike. It is just so much of a better thing to ride. I can't believe I actually managed to get this thing around Tasmania on the sausage tour without throwing it into the scenery. Because you come into a corner like this, you tip in, and if for whatever reason, and there's often a reason, if I had to roll the throttle off, it was completely unpredictable mid-corner. And if there was any bump or deviation in the road, again, it was completely unpredictable. You didn't know what it was going to do. So, thank you for joining me on the adventures down the rabbit hole as we try to get to the bottom of these forks. Which, you know, like, from a mechanical perspective, we're there. They're good. From a position of actually identifying what these internals are, I'm no more closer to knowing. But that's all good. I know I can recondition them with the factory, with the with an ST3 seal kit, and run the oil level of the ST3 ABS, and we're golden. So thanks again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, because we will be back with more from Andy's Motorcycle Obsessions. Bye for now.